Ladies and gentlemen, the hour has arrived for you to understand, in the deepest and most profound sense, that the power you seek in the world has always resided within you. Yet so few ever awaken to this truth. So many drift through the currents of life, allowing circumstance, the opinions of others, and the flickering fires of emotion to dictate their destiny. Listen carefully, for what I am about to reveal is not merely counsel. It is a principle as unyielding and eternal as the law of gravity. If you do not seize command of your inner power, someone else will. If you do not control your mind will control you, and your life will be nothing more than a reflection of the whims of others. Consider this, and let it burn in your consciousness. Every great success, every empire built, every life that has risen above mediocrity, all of it was the result of one thing above all else: mastery of the inner world. The world, you see, offers no special favors. Fortune is not a kindly neighbor who drops gifts at your door. Opportunity does not knock for the timid, the indecisive, or the emotionally untrained. It bows only to those who have cultivated clarity of mind, steadfastness of purpose, and a disciplined command over thought and feeling. The universe is neutral. It does not reward weakness, it does not notice complaint, and it does not acknowledge the unprepared. It responds only to power, focus, and initiative power that is born within. Now pause and reflect upon this truth. How often have you allowed emotions to govern your actions, to cloud your judgment, to drain the energy of your purpose? How often have fear, anger, resentment, or desire dictated the course of your life? If you are honest, you will recognize the pattern. Every time emotion governs action, potential is squandered, opportunity is lost, and the mind, the very instrument of your power, is corrupted by chaos. You must understand this with absolute clarity. To yield to emotion is to forfeit power. To command thought is to command your destiny. Here, then, lies the first principle I demand you absorb: definiteness of purpose. You must know with unwavering certainty exactly what you seek. A mind without purpose is a rudderless ship, tossed by every wave, swept by every storm, powerless against the currents of circumstance. But a mind armed with purpose is a cannon of precision, its trajectory unerring, its impact undeniable. The question you must ask yourself is not, what can the world give me? But rather, what will I command from the world once I have seized dominion over myself? This shift in perspective is not subtle, it is transformative. It separates those who drift through life from those who carve mountains, forge empires, and bend reality itself to their design. Yet purpose alone is insufficient. It must be accompanied by mental discipline, a relentless training of thought, a vigilant command over every idea, every impulse, every fleeting feeling. The human mind, left to its own devices, is weak, impulsive, and easily deceived. It succumbs to fear, it clings to comfort, it recoils from challenge. The disciplined mind, however, observes, evaluates, and executes. It does not react, it responds. It does not flinch at adversity, it converts adversity into fuel. It does not wait for permission, it seizes initiative. Mental discipline is the forge upon which inner power is tempered. Without it, the sharpest intellect is dulled, the grandest ambition is wasted, and the deepest potential remains dormant. Consider for a moment the principle of emotional detachment. Many mistakenly view detachment as coldness, as the absence of feeling. Nothing could be further from the truth. Detachment is mastery. Detachment is the ability to observe without being consumed, to participate without being imprisoned, to act with clarity while the world rages in distraction. The emotionally detached individual is not apathetic, they are sovereign. They understand that no outside circumstance, no insult, no fortune, no failure has the power to dictate their inner state. They have achieved what I call the law of mental neutrality, the capacity to maintain equilibrium in the face of turbulence, the capacity to remain unshakable when the untrained mind succumbs to panic or despair. This is not easy. It is the work of a lifetime, but it is essential. Without detachment, you are a leaf blown by every gust. With detachment, you are a storm, shaping the landscape itself. Now let us consider the power of autosuggestion. The thoughts you entertain are seeds. They grow according to the nutrition you provide. If you nourish doubt, fear, and indecision, the mind will sprout weakness and defeat. But if you cultivate faith, clarity, and determination, the mind will yield mastery, resilience, and unstoppable initiative. Speak to your mind deliberately, with purpose, with the force of conviction. Reinforce your goals, repeat your truths, and train your mental faculties to operate in alignment with your ultimate purpose. The subconscious is a servant. It will labor ceaselessly, but only when commanded. Do not leave it idle. Do not whisper uncertainty. Command it, and it will produce power. Pause for a moment and grasp this. Every individual you have ever admired, every person who has transformed adversity into triumph, every leader, inventor, and pioneer without exception understood these principles and applied them relentlessly. They did not wait for permission. They did not allow circumstance to dictate their lives. They understood the singular truth. The world will not grant you power. You must take it from yourself before anyone else does. And here lies the point where many falter. They confuse activity with progress. They confuse busyness with power. To act without discipline, to pursue without focus, is to labor in vain. The disciplined mind is selective. It identifies the highest leverage action, the decisive thought, the purposeful effort, and it directs all energy there. Every other impulse is ignored, every distraction discarded, every moment realigned with the pursuit of the goal. This is the practical manifestation of self-discipline. Without it, knowledge remains inert, ambition remains unfulfilled, and potential remains unrealized. I must now speak of a principle so fundamental that ignoring it is catastrophic: the difference between response and reaction. The reactive mind is enslaved. It lashes, it panics, it yields to circumstance. The responsive mind is sovereign. It observes, it calculates, it directs. Let this distinction be etched upon your consciousness. To respond is power, to react is slavery. Your thoughts, your decisions, your emotional command, all are available to you in every moment. Will you seize them, or will you surrender them to the chaos of the untrained mind? And let us not ignore the critical importance of accurate thinking. Facts, reality, evidence, these are the raw materials of power. Wishful thinking, emotional distortion, and prejudice are shackles. Train yourself to think precisely, to analyze correctly, to base decisions on what is, not on what you hope or fear. Accurate thinking is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the lens through which purpose is focused, through which detachment is strengthened, through which discipline manifests into tangible achievement. Without it, your mind is a weapon dulled by fog, your energy scattered by illusion, your potential wasted in confusion. You must understand, with the intensity of the sun burning at noon, that mastery over the mind is not a trivial undertaking. It is not a pastime for the comfortable or the casual. It is a war waged silently, invisibly, within the fortress of your own consciousness. And every battle lost to fear, to doubt, to resentment, is a battle that will echo outward, shaping your life in ways you will regret but cannot easily undo. To those who have the courage to face themselves in the mirror, to confront every hidden impulse, every unexamined thought, I say, you stand at the threshold of power that the world cannot grant you, cannot take from you, and cannot even perceive until it bows to your dominance. Look around at the multitude, at the endless throngs who drift, distracted, enslaved by the opinions of others. Notice how often they react, how often they surrender their emotional freedom for the fleeting comfort of approval, for the dangerous illusion of security. They look outside themselves for guidance, for validation, for courage, and they find none. All the while, the individual who commands their own mind moves unseen, unstoppable, growing in power, cultivating influence, shaping destiny. This is no exaggeration. It is truth laid bare. Control your mind first, and the world will fall into alignment with your purpose. Fail to control it, and the world will crush you without mercy. Let us examine the law of emotional neutrality in more depth. Consider a mighty oak tree standing in the midst of a storm. The wind howls, the rain lashes. Lightning strikes the surrounding plain, yet the oak remains steadfast. Its roots reach deep into the earth, unshakable, unyielding, its form unbent by the chaos around it. This is the principle of detachment. Your mind, like the oak, must anchor itself in purpose, in discipline, in clarity. Do not allow the storms of life to dictate your state of being. Do not permit the anger of others, the insults hurled, the injustices suffered to penetrate the citadel of your inner world. There is a power here that few understand. The calm mind, undisturbed, is invincible. And what of fear, that most insidious of tyrants? Fear is a thief, a shadow that robs you of energy, clouds your judgment, and paralyzes action. But observe the person who masters fear. They see it for what it is, a thought, a chemical reaction, a signal, nothing more. They do not deny it, they do not worship it, they harness it, convert it into fuel for action, and march forward. This is the essence of courage. Not the absence of fear, but the command over it, the ability to act with purpose in spite of it. When you achieve this, you have begun to taste the nectar of absolute freedom, for the mind no longer bows to the illusions of limitation. Consider also the principle of persistence in mental discipline. Discipline is not a one-time event. It is a relentless daily commitment. The mind must be exercised like a muscle, trained through repetition, strengthened through adversity, tested through deliberate challenges. You will fail. You will falter. You will encounter temptation to surrender to emotion, to laziness, to the seductive pull of distraction. This is inevitable. But those who persist, those who rise every time the mind wavers, who correct themselves with unwavering resolve, these are the few who ascend to heights others can only dream of. Persistence compounds, and in the economy of the mind, it is the most valuable currency of all. Now, let us explore the principle of thought first, action second. Understand this fully. The outer world is a reflection of the inner. Every action you take, every result you achieve, every influence you exert begins in thought. If you allow chaotic, emotional, or untrained thoughts to govern your behavior, you will harvest confusion, conflict, and mediocrity. But if you cultivate clarity, detachment, and precise intention, you plant seeds of power, wealth, influence, and achievement. This is not theory, it is law. The successful man, the visionary, the master of destiny, knows that he must govern the theater of the mind before commanding the stage of the world. And here I demand you embrace an even deeper truth. Your mind is the battlefield where your life is won or lost. No market, no competitor, no circumstance has power over you unless you first surrender it. Recognize the illusion of external control. Every difficulty, every insult, every misfortune is neutral in itself. It becomes good or ill, depending on the meaning you attach to it. The emotionally detached, disciplined mind sees reality as it is opportunity, challenge, and experience, and responds with precision, creativity, and resolve. The undisciplined mind sees threat, injustice, and insult, and reacts with fury, resentment, and hesitation. The difference is power, the difference is life, the difference is destiny. Now take a moment to consider the cumulative effect of mental mastery. When the mind is trained, disciplined, and detached, it begins to act as a magnet. Opportunities present themselves. Decisions become instantaneous. Influence multiplies. Obstacles vanish not because the world has changed, but because you have become unshakable in the face of the world. This is no mysticism. It is mathematics of cause and effect applied to the theater of human consciousness. The more you command your inner world, the more your outer world aligns to your command. This is the law, absolute and unforgiving. Let us not shy away from the ultimate truth. Time is indifferent. Life does not wait. Every second spent in indecision, in emotional surrender, in mental chaos is stolen from you irretrievably forever. Your competitors, your peers, your contemporaries, whether they recognize it or not, are seizing every fraction of every moment. The person who masters their mind first, who disciplines their thoughts, who detaches from emotional turbulence, will always arrive first at the threshold of opportunity. You must act now, decisively, relentlessly. For every hesitation is a surrender, every doubt a retreat, every untrained emotion a betrayal of your potential. And here is the final inexorable principle. Command yourself and you command your life. Fail to command yourself and you will live at the mercy of circumstance, opinion, and impulse. There is no middle ground. There is no compromise. The human mind is either a kingdom ruled with clarity, purpose, and discipline, or it is a prison trapped by its own fears, its own desires, and its own distractions. There is no neutrality, only mastery or surrender. So I call to you now in the spirit of unyielding truth. Grab your inner power before someone else does. Take control of your thoughts, your emotions, your decisions, and your destiny. Build your fortress of mental discipline. Anchor your life in purpose. Detach from the chaos of the untrained mind. Harness fear. Persist in thought. Master your own reactions. For in this moment, the world offers no favors, and yet offers everything to the person who is sovereign within. Let the intensity of this message consume your hesitation. Let it ignite the dormant furnace of determination within you. You are capable of more than the mind of the untrained world can imagine. You are capable of rising above every limitation, of bending circumstances to your will, of commanding respect, influence, and achievement. The mind, once mastered, is the greatest weapon, the most valuable resource, and the ultimate determinant of success in all realms. And now, let the vision take hold. See yourself unshakable, unwavering, immune to distraction and insult, executing every action with precision, fueled by clarity of purpose, by emotional detachment, and by mental discipline. Let this vision dominate your consciousness until it becomes unavoidable reality. Let it burn in your imagination so fiercely that no fear, no doubt, no external circumstance can extinguish it. For this is the unlimited, untouchable power of the disciplined mind, the mind that acts before the world even comprehends, the mind that seizes opportunity before others recognize its existence, the mind that becomes unstoppable. Your life, your success, your legacy, these are not determined by luck, by circumstance, or by the benevolence of others. They are determined exclusively by the mind you command, the thoughts you nurture, and the discipline you enforce. Seize it now with unflinching resolve. Seize it now with relentless commitment. Seize it now, for the world will not wait, and neither will opportunity. The time to dominate your inner world is not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. It is now. Consider the titan who rises before dawn, the one who endures the sting of cold, the ache of muscles, the gnawing doubt of the inner critic. While the masses sleep, lulled by comfort, this individual is awake, shaping thought into action, refining discipline into habit, transforming intention into irreversible momentum. Every moment of control, every fraction of effort invested in mastering the inner domain compounds into a force that bends reality to the will. You must become this titan of thought, this architect of destiny, for nothing external can grant you what only mastery of your mind can produce. Understand, with the clarity of absolute certainty, that emotions are not enemies, they are tools, but only the disciplined, detached mind wields them with precision. Anger becomes fuel for decisive action. Frustration becomes a signal to adapt, to refine, to strategize. Fear becomes the spark that illuminates preparation and courage. Happiness, satisfaction, and desire become the reinforcement of purpose, not distractions from it. The untrained mind succumbs, consumed by these forces. The master harnesses them, converts them, elevates them into energy that accelerates achievement. This is alchemy of the psyche, a transformation no alchemist of old could rival, a secret accessible to you now if you dare seize it. And let us speak now of reaction versus response. Observe the untrained man in conflict. He reacts, he lashes out, he collapses under pressure. Circumstances dictate his behavior. But the master of mind understands. Reaction is the surrender of sovereignty. Response is command, deliberate, precise, deliberate in alignment with purpose. This is the difference between the average man, lost to impulse, and the extraordinary, whose calm detachment transforms challenge into triumph. In the theater of life, your responses dictate the narrative. Your reactions enslave you. Do not react. Respond. And let every response be the echo of your discipline, your clarity, and your intent. Now I demand that you face this truth. The world respects only power, precision, and mastery. Weakness, indecision, and emotional volatility invite exploitation. Observe history. Empires fell. Businesses collapsed. Leaders were dethroned, not always due to external enemies, but because those who ruled lacked mastery over themselves. The untrained mind surrenders to fear, doubt, and distraction. The disciplined mind seizes opportunity and destiny alike. What you tolerate internally, externally, will govern the quality of your life. Every insult ignored, every impulse resisted, every thought corrected is a deposit in your account of inner sovereignty. Fortune favors the master of the self, always and without exception. And consider this, time will not wait. The currents of life do not pause for the indecisive. The world is a relentless machine, and only those who have anchored themselves in detachment, discipline, and thought mastery can navigate its torrents unscathed. Every day spent in emotional surrender, in reaction, in chaos, is a day stolen from potential, a day wasted on mediocrity, a day surrendered to the indifferent forces of chance. But the disciplined mind, the disciplined mind converts every second into leverage, every experience into advantage, every interaction into influence. Do you hear me? You are either the master or the servant. There is no middle ground. There is no compromise. Now envision the summit of your own potential. See yourself elevated above distraction, above fear, above the petty turbulence of human emotion. Feel the power coursing through your thoughts as clarity of purpose sharpens every decision, as detachment clears the fog of anxiety and need for approval. See opportunity presenting itself, doors opening effortlessly, ideas transforming into action, action into results, results into unstoppable momentum. This is no dream. This is the inevitable outcome of a mind disciplined, detached, and sovereign. Every great achievement in history began here in the command of the inner world before the conquest of the outer. And finally, hear this with absolute, unyielding intensity. Do not delay, do not hesitate, do not surrender even a fraction of your thought, life to the chaos of emotion or the illusion of fear. Every day, every hour, every thought is an opportunity to enforce your dominion over yourself. Discipline yourself, detach yourself, command your mind, align your thoughts with purpose. Convert obstacles into fuel. Transform fear into clarity. React not, respond with precision. Build resilience, persistence, and focus. Let your inner fortress be unshakable, for in this fortress lies your wealth, your influence, your power, your freedom, and your destiny. This is the law, this is the principle, this is the truth. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. Grab your inner power before someone else does, and forge a life so formidable, so untouchable, that the world will recognize not only your success, but the mastery from which it springs. You are the architect. You are the general. You are the titan. Take command now and never surrender it. And now, listen closely, for here lies the distinction between the ordinary and the extraordinary. The average mind drifts, buffeted by circumstances, lulled by comforts, distracted by approval, obsessed with the opinions of others. But the master, the master understands that the mind is the ultimate territory, and he who conquers it conquers all. Every thought left unchecked is a leak of energy. Every emotion indulged is a compromise of power. You cannot build empires externally if your internal kingdom is in chaos. The secret of all achievement is not the accumulation of things, not the applause of the masses, not even the fleeting recognition of peers. It is the absolute command over your inner world. Ask yourself, what are you tolerating today that steals your peace, diminishes your power, or undermines your purpose? What petty worry, fear, or desire for validation is running the show behind your eyes, quietly dictating your decisions, your actions, your destiny? To achieve greatness, you must strip away these chains one by one until every thought is deliberate, every emotion is aligned with purpose, and every reaction, or better, every response is a direct expression of your sovereign will. Emotional detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. It is the lens through which reality is observed and mastered, unswayed by distraction, unshaken by chaos. Now understand this principle with unyielding certainty. Self-discipline is not a goal, it is a lifestyle. It is not a series of isolated efforts, but a continuous exercise in mastery, repeated daily, enforced relentlessly, and refined endlessly. It is the invisible muscle that strengthens with every choice to do what must be done rather than what is comfortable. And as with any muscle, weakness leads to surrender. but strength leads to sovereignty. When the storm of life rages, when opposition appears in every guise, when doubt creeps into the mind like a thief in the night, the disciplined individual stands as an unmovable pillar. Others falter, react, and despair, but the disciplined mind creates opportunity from adversity, leverage from struggle, and triumph from uncertainty. Consider the great architects of history, the titans of industry, the visionaries who reshaped the world. What separated them from the mediocre was not talent alone, nor luck, nor circumstance. It was their mastery over self, their command of emotion, their refusal to allow fear, doubt, or anger to dictate their choices. Every failure they encountered became a lesson, every criticism a guide, every setback a stepping stone. They did not react, they responded. They did not surrender, they commanded. And in this command, they discovered a power beyond the reach of the average man, a power that bends reality to intention, transforms thought into action, and action into enduring success. Now, envision this truth. Your thoughts are the blueprint of your destiny. Each thought, each impulse, each moment of clarity or confusion contributes to the architecture of your life. Disorder in thought produces disorder in life. Chaos in mind manifests as chaos in circumstance. But clarity, precision, and discipline of thought manifest as power, opportunity, and unstoppable momentum. You must therefore cultivate the habit of deliberate thinking. Every day, every decision, every interaction must pass through the filter of purpose, through the lens of discipline, through the standard of unwavering intent. Anything less is surrender. Anything less is compromise. Anything less is the gift of your destiny to chance. And here is the ultimate secret, whispered across centuries by those who have achieved greatness. Mastery over emotion is mastery over life itself. The man who reacts is enslaved. The man who fears is paralyzed. The man who desires approval is trapped. But the man who commands his emotions, who directs them as a general, commands an army, who converts anger into energy, fear into vigilance, and doubt into inquiry, he is unstoppable. He moves with clarity, acts with precision, and achieves with inevitability. The world bends to him because he does not bend to it. I tell you now, with all the force this message can muster, that every moment wasted in emotional surrender is a moment stolen from your power, a moment surrendered to mediocrity, a moment lost to the indifferent tide of life. Do not allow it. Fight for your mind, discipline your thoughts, command your responses, and enforce your dominion over every impulse, every distraction, every fleeting temptation. For in this battle lies your fortune, your influence, your freedom, your legacy. Every decision is a brick. Every choice is mortar. And with enough discipline, enough clarity, enough detachment, you will build a fortress of inner power no external force can breach. Beloved listener, let me speak to the quiet yet powerful chamber of your consciousness, the place where destiny is forged and where empires of achievement begin and end. I want you to grasp this with the deepest clarity possible. Everything you are, everything you will become, every success and every failure begins in your mind. If you allow emotions to govern your actions, you forfeit your power. If you allow fear, doubt, or desire for approval to infiltrate your thoughts, you surrender your sovereignty. But if you command your thoughts, if you harness your emotional responses and align them with unwavering purpose, you command not only your actions, but the very trajectory of your life. This is the principle of mental mastery. This is the law that governs all achievement. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. Now, I ask you to examine yourself with unflinching honesty. How often have you surrendered your mental domain to external forces? How many times have you allowed a careless word, an unkind remark, a fleeting frustration to dictate the course of your day, your mood, your decisions? Reflect, if you dare, upon the countless opportunities lost, not due to circumstance, but due to the untrained mind. For the greatest enemy to success is not poverty, nor failure, nor opposition. It is the undisciplined mind, the reactive mind, the mind enslaved by its own emotions. Let us speak first of emotional detachment, a concept misunderstood by many, yet practiced by the masters of life throughout history. Detachment does not mean indifference. It does not mean apathy. Rather, it is the art of observing reality without surrendering to it, of experiencing life without being enslaved by the tides of emotion. A man of detachment feels deeply, yes, but he does not allow grief to cloud judgment, nor anger to destroy foresight, nor desire to cloud wisdom. Detachment creates clarity. Detachment creates strength. Detachment creates freedom. Every great achievement in history, every empire, every innovation, every leap of human progress was first conceived in a mind that practiced detachment. The moment you allow emotional chaos to dominate thought is the moment your potential is lost to reaction, to compromise, to mediocrity. The first law of mastery, therefore, is the law of mental neutrality. You must observe every situation, every challenge, every human interaction through a lens of calm discernment. Chaos will come. Conflict will arrive. Opposition will test you. And when it does, you must rise above the impulse to react. Reaction is surrender. Response is command. The untrained mind lashes, strikes, panics. The master considers, evaluates, and acts with precision. In the furnace of life, it is the controlled mind that forges destiny. You must build this discipline daily. Begin with small acts. Resist the impulse to argue unnecessarily. Control the desire to complain. Moderate the urge to indulge fleeting pleasure. These are the first victories, the foundation of the fortress of self-mastery. Next, we consider self-discipline, the engine that transforms thought into reality. Discipline is the bridge between intention and manifestation. Without discipline, purpose is a dream. With discipline, purpose becomes action, and action becomes results. Self-discipline is not a single act. It is the accumulation of countless deliberate choices. It is waking early when the body resists. It is completing the tasks you do not feel like completing. It is the silent, relentless pursuit of improvement, day after day, hour after hour, thought after thought. The disciplined individual understands that the mind is a muscle, and every decision, every restraint, every act of mastery strengthens it. Conversely, indulgence weakens it. Every moment spent surrendering to emotion, procrastination, or distraction chips away at power, and soon the individual finds themselves a prisoner of circumstance, forever reacting, forever enslaved to the chaos of life. Now, I speak to you of autosuggestion, the deliberate feeding of the mind with the principles that shape destiny. The mind, once disciplined, must be nourished with intention. Every thought repeated, every affirmation of purpose, every visualization of success impresses upon the subconscious, planting seeds that bloom into reality. You are what you repeatedly think, what you repeatedly affirm, and what you repeatedly imagine. The average man is unaware of this principle, and thus his life is dictated by circumstance, by accident, by the fleeting influence of the uncontrolled mind. But the master, the master feeds the mind daily with the principles of success, the imagery of victory, the certainty of achievement. This is not wishful thinking. It is the deliberate programming of your most powerful instrument, your mind. Understand the distinction between response and reaction more deeply, for it is here that the essence of mastery lies. The untrained individual reacts emotionally to every stimulus: criticism, frustration, insult, fear. Reaction is the surrender of sovereignty. The disciplined mind, however, observes, calculates, and chooses. Response is deliberate. Response is aligned with purpose. Response is not blind but informed. And in the mastery of response, life itself bends to the will of the individual. History is filled with examples. Generals who won against overwhelming odds because they controlled their reactions. Entrepreneurs who transformed failure into fortune because they responded with clarity and calm. Leaders who inspired nations because they acted deliberately while the masses panicked. To master response is to master the world. Consider for a moment the ocean in its fury. Waves crash, winds howl, storms rage, yet beneath the surface lies a profound stillness, an order unseen but unbreakable. This is the mind of the master, calm at the core, even as the world seeks to batter it into chaos. The untrained mind is the surface of the ocean in a storm, tossed, tumbled, drowning in reaction. But mastery is found in the depths, in the stillness that no external force can disturb. You must cultivate this depth within yourself. Daily, relentlessly, you must practice the stillness, for it is in stillness that clarity arises, decisions are sharpened, and power is concentrated. Let me speak plainly. Life will test you every single day. with challenges designed to expose the weakness of your discipline, to inflame your emotions, to draw you into reaction. People will insult you, circumstances will betray you, fears will emerge unbidden. The world delights in the reactive man because he is easy prey. The world fears the master because he is immovable. The difference lies entirely in the command of your inner world. You must not give away your power for the fleeting satisfaction of anger, for the illusion of vengeance, for the temporary escape of indulgence. Every time you act without mastery, you have surrendered a piece of your destiny. Every time you choose clarity over chaos, restraint over impulse, calculation over reaction, you have fortified your empire within. Now, let us examine the principle of definiteness of purpose, which is inseparable from the mastery of emotion and mind. Purpose is the anchor that keeps the ship of your mind steady in turbulent waters. Without a clear and definite purpose, the mind drifts like a leaf in a storm, tossed by every wind of circumstance. With purpose, however, every thought, every action, every decision is aligned, concentrated, and magnified. You cannot master your inner world without knowing precisely what you are building, why you are building it, and what the ultimate outcome must be. Purpose transforms discipline from a burden into a weapon. For when the mind is devoted to a single, definite aim, even pain becomes fuel, even failure becomes instruction, even opposition becomes opportunity. And now, I urge you to embrace the principle of accurate thinking, the art of separating fact from fancy, truth from illusion, perception from reality. The average mind is a sieve through which all manner of unverified information, emotional bias, and social influence passes unfiltered. It accepts, it assumes, it reacts. But the disciplined mind questions, analyzes, and confirms. It evaluates all data, all opinions, all impulses against the standard of truth. It recognizes that unchecked thought is the greatest source of error and suffering. To master your inner world, you must cultivate the habit of accurate thinking. Ask, is this true? Is this my responsibility? Does this serve my purpose? In the realm of mental mastery, doubt unexamined is poison, clarity unexamined is gold. Let us now turn to the matter of personal initiative, for mastery is not passive. The untrained mind waits for direction, for circumstance, for someone else's approval. The disciplined mind acts decisively, independently, relentlessly. Initiative is the spark that turns knowledge into action, thought into creation, and intent into achievement. Every opportunity seized, every obstacle overcome, every innovative solution discovered stems from initiative. You cannot master your mind without also mastering your actions. Thought without action is wasted power. Discipline without initiative is inert. Mastery is the synthesis of mind and deed, of contemplation and execution, of intention and movement. Understand this and understand it fully. Power is nothing without peace. The man who dominates his inner world yet remains agitated, anxious, or restless is not truly masterful. True power is serene. True authority is calm. True influence emanates from the unshakable core of one who has conquered self. And how does one attain this serene power? Through daily practice of detachment, reflection, discipline, and deliberate thought. Each morning, confront the chaos within. Each evening, review your choices. Each decision, each impulse, each emotion must be subjected to the standard of mastery. This is no small task, no fleeting endeavor, but the very labor that forges kings, leaders, and legends. I implore you now to consider the stories of those who achieved greatness against impossible odds, the generals who turned retreat into victory, the inventors who transformed failure into innovation, the entrepreneurs who rebuilt empires from ashes. What distinguished them was not luck, nor genius, nor circumstance. It was the command of mind and mastery of emotion. When adversity came, they did not panic. When provocation arrived, they did not lash out. When disappointment struck, they did not despair. They acted with unwavering clarity, steadfast purpose, and absolute discipline. And because they commanded themselves first, they commanded the world around them. Now, let us escalate this understanding further. You must see with piercing clarity that every thought unchecked is a seed sown in the soil of your destiny. Fear, doubt, resentment, longing, all are seeds that, when nurtured, grow into trees of limitation, forests of distraction, and jungles of suffering. But every thought of purpose, courage, clarity, and discipline grows into monuments of achievement, towers of influence, and foundations of unstoppable power. Your inner world is a garden, and you are both gardener and master architect. Weed ruthlessly, plant deliberately, nurture consistently, and you will harvest the extraordinary life that is your birthright. Now, consider the fire that burns within every human soul. It is subtle, often unnoticed, yet ceaseless. Some let it consume them recklessly, burning bridges, surrendering to passion without direction, allowing it to rage in futility. Others smother it, dampening its flame with fear, doubt, and distraction, leaving only a faint ember in the darkness. But the master, the master harnesses this fire, channels it, focuses it, until it becomes a furnace that forges reality itself. This is the power of controlled desire, the alchemy of passion and discipline, the synthesis of emotion and intellect. When your desires are aligned with purpose, when your passions are tempered by detachment, you become unstoppable. You become a force the world cannot ignore, a presence the universe must respond to, because your inner fire burns not chaotically, but with deliberate, disciplined intensity. Let me speak now of the principle of thought first, the ultimate law of creation. Every achievement begins as a thought, every fortune begins as an idea, every empire begins as a vision. The great men and women of history were not born extraordinary. They became extraordinary because they recognized that the mind is the seedbed of destiny. Napoleon, Lincoln, Edison, Curie, Mandela, they understood that mastery of self precedes mastery of circumstance. They understood that the world bends to the man who has conquered his mind before confronting the world. And you, my listener, must understand this as well. You are the architect of your life. You are the commander of your destiny. And nothing external, no circumstance, no person, no misfortune can overpower the mind that is disciplined, detached, and unyielding in purpose. The path is not easy. It is not gentle. It demands courage, vigilance, and relentless practice. Emotional detachment is not an instant acquisition. It is forged in the daily refusal to react unnecessarily, in the conscious decision to act in alignment with purpose rather than impulse. Mental discipline is not a gift. It is the cumulative result of countless deliberate choices, resisted temptations, and controlled impulses. Thought mastery is not accidental. It is the deliberate cultivation of ideas, beliefs, and visions that serve the purpose you have chosen to pursue. You will face storms. You will face ridicule. You will face doubt from others and from yourself. And in those moments, remember, the mind that rules itself is unconquerable. The will that commands itself is invincible. Now, lift your gaze to the horizon of possibility and imagine yourself standing at the pinnacle of mastery. Feel the weight of the world's chaos attempting to push you off balance and see yourself standing firm, serene, and unshaken. Every challenge that once intimidated you now becomes a tool. Every obstacle that once threatened you now becomes a stepping stone. Every criticism that once wounded you now becomes insight. This is the reward of mental sovereignty. This is the power of mastery over self. This is the destiny of those who refuse to be governed by impulse, who refuse to be enslaved by emotion, who refuse to surrender their mind to anything but clarity, purpose, and disciplined action. And so I command you now with the seriousness this truth demands. Rise. Rise above fear, rise above doubt, rise above the chaos of reactive living. Declare to yourself, in the deepest chambers of your consciousness, that you will no longer surrender your power. Take control of your thoughts. Take control of your emotions. Take control of your responses. And take control of your destiny. Let your mind be a fortress, your will a sword, and your purpose a beacon that cannot be extinguished. Let every action, every decision, every word be informed by this inner mastery. And in doing so, you will achieve what so many claim is impossible, but which is inevitable for those who command themselves first: unstoppable success, unshakable peace, and a life of profound influence. Remember this: you are the captain of your inner world, the commander of your mental forces, the architect of your future. Every thought, every decision, every moment of deliberate control adds to the structure of your destiny. Fail to master yourself, and you will live in the tyranny of circumstance, forever reacting, forever drifting, forever powerless. Master yourself, and the world becomes your instrument, your stage, and your domain. The law is timeless, the principle immutable, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. Let this final truth echo in your consciousness, resonate in your spirit, and animate your actions. The power to transform your life is within you now. It is not outside, it is not tomorrow, it is not in the favor of others, it is in your mind. Command it, discipline it, elevate it. And the life you desire, the success you deserve, the destiny that awaits you will rise inexorably to meet you. Stand tall, think clearly, act decisively, and live with the knowledge that no force on earth can conquer the man who has conquered himself. The time is now. The moment is yours. Seize your mind before someone else does. Take control of your inner world. Let clarity, purpose, and discipline guide every thought, every emotion, every action. This is your power. This is your sovereignty. This is your life, fully mastered, fully commanded, and fully victorious.